Ibram Kendi, someone who prides himself on being anti-racist, has recently leveled racist attacks against Amy Coney Barrett and her family, which is, not a good look for him. Before we get into what he said, I want you to look at this picture and what are your first thoughts? This is Amy Coney Barrett and her family. What I failed to mention in a previous video is that yes, she has 7 children, but 2 of them are adopted from Haiti. I'm guessing you can figure out which 2. Now, looking at this picture, most people would see a happy family. They're multiracial, but guess what? We live in 2020, and that's okay. But not to Ibram Kendi. This is what he said on Twitter. Some white colonizers adopted black children. They civilized these savage children in their superior ways of white people, while using them as props in their lifelong pictures of denial, while cutting the biological parents of these children out of the picture of humanity. Essentially what he's arguing is that white people who adopt black children are just doing it to, quote, civilize them, and to try and teach them their superior ways of whiteness. He is saying that she is racist for adopting black children, and that she has essentially cut out their biological family from the picture. His point of view is so twisted that the white supremacist leader Richard Spencer said that he was not wrong, that he agreed with Ibram Kendi. If you are so anti-racist that you agree with Richard Spencer on anything regarding race, then you need to reevaluate your position, because he is always wrong. In case you're not familiar with who Ibram Kendi is, he is the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist. He literally wrote the book on what it means to be anti-racist. In his view, everything can be divided into 2 categories, racist and anti-racist. There is, he argues, no such thing as not racist, because not racist means being neutral. This kind of goes along with the slogan, silence is violence. If you're not actively campaigning against what they view as racism, if you're not anti-racist, then you are complicit in the system, and you, in fact, are racist. That's what people like Ibram Kendi and Robin DiAngelo believe, which is obviously a load of crap, but that doesn't stop them from being New York Times bestsellers. He also claims in his book that any policy that results in any form of inequality between races is in fact a racist policy. Not even taking into account, virtually anything else. If there is any inequality between races at all, it must be because of racism and discrimination, which is complete nonsense, but again, that's kind of what he is known for. Or at least that's what he should be known for. Instead, they view him and Robin DiAngelo as these very intelligent thought leaders talking about racism for whatever reason. Even though, again, he literally called a white family racist for adopting 2 black children. In response to this, Kendi says he was taken out of context, and that he does not believe that white parents of black children are, quote, inherently racist. They're just, I guess, probably racist. Even if he doesn't think that it's always a racist thing, he certainly believes, based on his definition, that Amy Coney Barrett and her family are racist, because they're not anti-racist in the way that he wants them to be, because they're not in favor of defunding the police, and because they're not in favor of things like slavery reparations. According to Ibram Kendi, they're not anti-racist. And so, since there are only 2 categories, they must be racist. This article concluded with a really good point. They compared the belief of Richard Spencer to Ibram Kendi, and how both of them kind of agree on some core principles. What racists and today's anti-racists have in common, above all, is a belief in the significance of race. They see race as a defining feature of one's character, one's values, and one's place in the world. For racists like Richard Spencer and anti-racists like Ibram Kendi, race is the end-all, be-all. It is the central thing in humanity. They say that for different reasons, and apparently they somehow agree on interracial families, that they are somehow racist. I guess the same could be said by interracial marriages as well, because if you're a white person and you marry a black person, I guess you're just trying to, quote, civilize them, in his words. Again, I'm not saying that. That's what Ibram Kendi said. If I were to say that and be serious about it, I would be a horrible racist, understandably. But Ibram Kendi can say it because he's a thought leader on how to be anti-racist, and I guess that just means he knows what he's talking about or something. But he doesn't. Again, in case you didn't quite catch it the first 500 times, he called a white family racist for adopting black children. Amy Coney Barrett was already under attack for her religious faith, and now she's under attack because she adopted 2 children who, presumably, live quite happily with her. If we are getting to the point in 2020 when you cannot adopt a child of a different race, we're just going back into segregation. White people can only live with white people. Black people can only live with black people. That's a world I don't want to live in. It's absurd. And if you agree with anything that Ibram Kendi said, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You should look more into it, and he's an idiot. Don't believe him. If you want to learn more about Amy Coney Barrett, I made a video about her previously. You should check it out. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.